Hey, what's up? I'm Dominique, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 makeup do's and don'ts. Now these are truly my most iconic makeup tips to help you slay your base makeup every single time for any occasion. And plus, I really notice a big difference on how my makeup looks throughout the day when I do these steps, so it's very important to keep these in mind throughout your look. So here are my top 5 makeup do's and don'ts that I'm very guilty of doing when I first started doing my makeup, so today I'm going to show you exactly how I fix those mistakes. And don't worry, I'm going to make it very easy for you, so anyone at any skill level is going to easily be able to follow along and incorporate these steps into their routine. Alright, so now let's jump right in and let's get started on this glam. Okay, you already know the drill. The first thing that we gotta do when we start a video is always crack open an ice cold Dr. Pepper. Absolutely yes. Okay, now let's start with the very first makeup don't. When you're layering your skincare or your skin prep or your primers before you go in with some foundation, do not apply a bunch of layers with a bunch of product one right after another without letting it soak into your skin. You know when you put on your foundation and then sometimes it just separates right on your cheeks and you're like, what the heck? And you put more foundation and it continues to separate and everything just ends up looking so bad and cakey and disgusting and separated. It's honestly probably because of your skin prep and how much you put on your skin. And quite honestly, there's nothing worse than when your makeup separates throughout the day, so I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. So instead of going in and layering a ton of skincare and a ton of primer before you go in with your foundation, make sure to only layer the products necessary to prep your skin before foundation. And definitely give them a 30-second to 1-minute dry time before applying another layer on top. So today I'm going to show you exactly how I layer my skincare underneath my foundation. And trust me, I know how tricky it is because if you do not layer these products right, this is a recipe for disaster when it comes to your makeup. So the very first step in my skin prep routine is always a face moisturizer. This is just so important to add into your routine if you want your foundation to look hydrated throughout the day. Now when you're layering any type of skincare on your face, it's very important to only use the tiniest amount needed to cover your entire face. You really don't have to go crazy with the amount of moisturizer that you apply because the more product that you put on your face, you're actually risking for your foundation to break up throughout the day because moisturizers and skin prep and skincare typically have oils in them which will cause your foundation to separate. So I always make sure to only go in with the smallest amount needed to cover my entire face. And that's it. I know sometimes you want to go in and just drench your face with a good moisturizer, but it's all about finding that sweet spot between going in with a bunch of moisturizer and only going in with a tiny amount. So after the moisturizer is all nice and rubbed into my skin, I make sure to wait 30 seconds to 1 minute before applying any other skin prep on top. If you don't let it dry down, that's where the peeling beads are going to come from because that product is just going to pill up on your face because you didn't let it soak in. I know, it's quite crazy, isn't it? But I have been there way too many times to let that happen to you. Okay, so now it's been about 30 seconds to 1 minute, so now I'm going to go in with my serum. And quite honestly, a serum is not very important when it comes to your makeup, but you know sometimes people like to get that extra hydration and go in with a glowy serum or even a mattifying serum to help prep the skin a little bit more. So today I'm going to be using the Glow Recipe Niacinamide Dew Drops. And again, I only want to go in with the tiniest amount needed, so I'm only going to do about 2 pumps on my cheeks, and that's it. The texture of the serum is a little bit more of a medium consistency, so I definitely want to make sure that I don't go in with too much. But I will say that this niacinamide serum is so nice and soothing on the cheeks. It just adds so much hydration on my face. I know my foundation is going to look incredible after I apply this. You can just see that gorgeous glow that it gives my cheeks, and I'm obsessed. Woo! And oh my gosh, it smells just like watermelons. It's so good. And again, just like the moisturizer, I'm gonna let the serum soak in and dry down into my skin for about 30 seconds to 1 minute before I go in with anything else on top. Okay, so now that the serum has had time to soak into my skin, it's time to go in with some sunscreen. Now when you're applying sunscreen underneath your foundation, it's very important to only use the tiniest amount needed because as you know, sunscreens can be very oily. The more oily it is, the more it could cause your foundation to break up. So one of my favorite sunscreens that I use all the time during the summer, whether it's underneath my foundation or all by itself, I love this Innisfree Daily UV Defense Sunscreen. And this has a broad spectrum SPF of 36. Now with this sunscreen, I do not have to worry about it being too oily because this is not oily at all. This formula feels just like a moisturizer on the skin and it's incredible. But even though it feels so nice and very lightweight on the skin with 0 oil and 0 grease to it, I still don't want to go in with too much. So I'm just going to go in with enough to cover my entire face and that's it. And oh my gosh, the sunscreen smells so good. It's very nostalgic. It reminds me of summer because this is my go-to summer sunscreen. You can see how it added absolutely no texture or no tint or no white cast to my skin at all. It rubbed right in and it made my skin look very fresh, hydrated, and glowy. But since this SPF is a little bit heavier heavier than everything else that I just applied, I'm going to let this dry down and soak into my skin for 1 full minute before I go in with the foundation primer. Notice how all these products are just sitting so nice and beautifully with each other and nothing is breaking up or peeling apart already. That's because I'm really letting the products become one with the skin and soak in before moving it around and applying anything else on top. So all in all, don't pile a bunch of skincare and a bunch of skin prep one right after another and then go in with your foundation right on top. But do only go in with small amounts of each product necessary to prep your skin and let them dry down for 30 seconds to 1 minute before you go in with your foundation on top. So let's move on to makeup don't number 2. And this is one that I am so insanely guilty for. It's crazy. And quite honestly, I feel like everyone is, because no one teaches you this stuff, right? Except me. I teach you this stuff. That's what I'm here for. So don't number 2 would be don't go in with a random foundation primer without checking the ingredients first. But do make sure to match your foundation primer ingredients along with the foundation ingredients that you're going to be using. And I know it's quite crazy because what do you mean I can't just use any random primer and any foundation that I have? Every foundation primer and every foundation is going to be based with about 2 main ingredients. You've got water-based foundations and you've got silicone-based foundations. And same with foundation primers. You either have water-based primers or silicone-based primers. So it's very important to match the key ingredients of each the foundation and the primer together to make sure that your foundation just lasts in harmony all day. So if you want to use a water-based foundation, make sure to go in with the water-based primer. And if you want to use a silicone-based foundation, make sure to go in with silicone-based primer. And if you're like, Dominique, what the heck? How am I supposed to know what the ingredients of my foundation and my primer are? Because I threw the box away a really long time ago. So just open up the best website possible. Google, because we can find anything on Google, and that includes makeup ingredients. So today I really want to use this Dior Forever Skin Glow foundation. So I'm going to find out what the ingredients are in this foundation to find out what primer I should use. So I'm just going to look up Dior Forever Skin Glow foundation ingredients. And it looks like the first suggestion is to go to the Sephora website. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and they actually have all of the foundation ingredients listed right there on the website. So shout out to Sephora for that. I'm going to scroll down to the ingredients tab and it has everything listed right there. Now I know you're like, what the heck do I look for on this ingredients list, considering I cannot pronounce anything on this list? So the very first ingredient listed in the ingredients list is going to tell you everything that you need to know, and that's all you have to check for. So in this case, the Dior Forever Skin Glow foundation, the very first ingredient listed is water. Okay, so that means that this foundation is a water-based foundation, which means we need to go in and find a nice water-based primer to use along with this. Now if we were looking for a nice silicone-based foundation, anything that says dimethicone, silicone, anything that ends in cone means that that is a type of silicone. And I just really hope this makes sense. But again, I won't know until I go back and rewatch all this footage, and then I'll be like, oh my god, I sound crazy, or oh my god, I sound mad intelligent. We'll see which one it is later. So now that we got the foundation all figured out, and now we know that we need a water-based primer, I'm thinking I want to use this Huda Beauty Easy Blur primer. So let's check out what the ingredients are for the Huda Beauty Easy Blur primer. Let's see what it says. I'm just gonna scroll down to the ingredients tab. Oh, and what do you know? The very first ingredient listed is water. Woo woo! That means that this Easy Blur primer is going to match beautifully with this Dior Forever Skin Glow foundation. Now here's the thing, if you used a silicone-based primer along with a water-based foundation, you could cause your foundation to just break up because those ingredients do not mix well together. It's like adding oil and water and mixing them together and watch what happens, It's just gonna separate and it's gonna cause everything to break up. And sometimes you won't even notice that your two products aren't working together until the end of the day when you go to take off your makeup and you're like, why did it all just slip off and where is it going and why did it break apart? Well, it's all because you didn't use the right products together. And again, sometimes you can use a silicone-based primer along with a water-based foundation and it will be okay and you won't notice anything, but that's only if you have two really great, incredible products, which could easily happen, but you won't know until you actually test it out. So just to make everything work easier, mesh together easier, and look better on the face, just use the same key ingredients along with your foundation and primer and everything will go so smooth. So now I'm just gonna go in with my primer and I'm gonna rub it in all over my skin. This is a beautiful blurring primer that's just going to blur all my pores and it's gonna set my skin up for success. I mean, it's really just gonna make my skin look and feel so smooth before I go in with my foundation, and I love it for that. I mean, if you know me, you know that I love a good pore smoothing primer. They are my favorite types of primer in the entire world because I feel like it really does make my skin look so nice throughout the day. And typically pore smoothing primers are the types of primers that will have the most silicone ingredients to them. So to have this primer primer that's still a pore blurring primer, but water-based, is actually incredible because I can use this with any water-based foundation that I have. So now I'm just gonna let this primer soak into my skin for about 30 seconds to 1 minute before I go in with my foundation on top. And I'm just telling you, these are huge game changer steps to add into your makeup routine, and it might seem a little bit tedious at first, but the more you do it, the more you're gonna get the hang of it and you won't even think twice about it. My skin is nice and prepped. I'm feeling very hydrated and smooth. So let's jump right into don't number 3. Don't pile on a bunch of light coverage foundation to get it to appear more full coverage, but do only go on with a very small amount of a medium to full coverage foundation to cover up everything that you need to and have your skin still looking as skin-like as possible. Now listen, I know that when we're doing our makeup, we still want our skin to appear as skin, you know, we still want to look skin-like and natural, but we still want to cover up everything, right? So that brings us to using a very small amount of a full coverage to medium coverage foundation to get as much coverage as we can possibly get. The smaller amount of a foundation that you use, the better it's going to look on the skin. Your foundation is going to appear more cakey the more that you layer on to get more coverage. So for example, say that your daily foundation is a skin tint, and today we really want to go full glam and we want everything to be covered. So my first thought would be to just layer a bunch of the skin tint on to get more coverage, right? I mean, I'm so guilty of that. I used to do that all the time. If my foundation was not covering enough, I would just apply more. But that is step number 1 on how to look very cakey. So to avoid all that, you just want to use a foundation that has a nice coverage to it already. As we've already talked about, I'm going to be using the Dior Forever Skin Glow foundation, and this has a beautiful medium to full coverage to it, and I'm obsessed. And when you're using a foundation that has some nice coverage to it, you only need to use the tiniest amount necessary to cover your entire face. So to start off, I'm just going to pump 1 pump of the foundation out on the back of my hand. Just 1 singular baby pump, and that is it. And then I'm going to take my little foundation brush, I'm going to pick some foundation up off the back of my hand, and I'm going to start stamping this foundation right on my face. And I'm going to try to cover my entire face only using this 1 baby pump. I want to see how far I can really spread this tiny pump. And since this foundation is medium coverage right off the bat, it's going to cover up everything instantly. Like, you won't have to go in with a bunch of layers to get it to be medium coverage. It's going to be medium coverage with 1 stamp on your face. And if I'm being honest, this foundation is kind of hard to tell because this is my exact foundation shade and you cannot see it on my face at all. But honey, it's there. It's covering up everything. And the smaller amount of foundation that you apply to your skin, the more skin-like it's really going to appear. I mean, I'm telling you, I have the tiniest layer of foundation on my face, yet I can still see my skin underneath, and it just rests on top of my skin so beautifully because it's so lightweight. Now look, I've used all the foundation off the back of my hand already, and I covered everything from my eyes down, but I'm still gonna go in with about half pump more, and I'm gonna use this half pump to cover up my forehead. And I know full coverage foundations can be a little bit scary to use because you can look very cakey if you apply too much, but that goes with any foundation in the entire world. If you apply too much product on your face, it's just going to look super cakey because the product will have nowhere to go throughout the day. And that's why it's very important to only use the tiniest amount needed to cover up everything. And once I really started taking this step seriously and only using the smallest amount needed to cover my entire face, my makeup has never looked better. Okay, fine, I'll let you in on a little secret, and I'm gonna give you a bonus hack right here because this is huge. So don't just apply your foundation with the foundation brush, but do apply your foundation with the foundation brush and then take a little beauty sponge and press the foundation into your skin right after. Pressing the foundation into your skin using a beauty sponge after you apply it with a brush is going to make your skin look absolutely flawless. I mean, talking about skin-like foundation, this step right here is going to make your skin look so flawless, especially in person. I wish that I could just explain to you how beautiful this sponge right here makes my skin look, but you really have to just try it for yourself and you're going to be shook. I know you're gonna look in the mirror and you're gonna be like, oh my god, why does my makeup look so good? And I'll do this step with my beauty sponge after every single cream product that I apply to my skin, whether it's foundation, concealer, cream bronzer, cream blush, anything like that, it will be pressed into my skin using a beauty sponge. So there you go, enjoy that extra hack. Now welcome to the next makeup do's and don't category, which is all about the setting powder. Don't skip the setting powder, but do use the tiniest amount of setting powder needed to cover your entire face. Now I know in the year of 2025, a lot of people don't like to use powders anymore because we've seen terrible powders and terribly cakey makeup back in the past, because we're all seriously traumatized by 2016 makeup that was super matte and very powdered and very cakey and crusty and dry. But guess what? We actually don't have to be scared of setting powder, especially if you use a setting powder that's made for your skin type. So today I have to use one of my favorite setting powders in the entire world, which is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder. And in this, I have the shade Peach Pie. Now I'm a dry skin queen, so I typically hate how setting powders look on my skin because it makes my skin look even more dry. Until I found this beautiful Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder that I love so much, and it doesn't make my skin look dry at all. I actually notice a huge difference in how my skin looks when I use this powder. It's so worth all the money. It's amazing. I mean, this quality, ooh, Huda Beauty snapped with this powder. I cannot tell you enough. Anyway, the key to success with this setting powder is to only use the smallest amount needed. So I'm going to take this little powder brush. It's a little bit pointed, so it will fit perfectly underneath my eyes. And before I apply this powder to my skin, I'm just going to tap off a little extra of the powder so I don't apply too much. And I'm going to start stamping it directly on top of the concealer at first. And I'm just going to stamp, stamp, stamp until all the powder just blends right into my skin. And by really pressing this powder into the skin, it's going to become one, and it's really going to soak into the skin and not look powdery at all. Now, you really don't have to set your entire face with some setting powder if you don't want to, but I will say it's very mandatory to set in areas where you would typically crease, especially the concealer. Like if you do not set anywhere else on your face, you must set underneath your eyes. I mean, everyone has creases underneath their eyes, so everyone's concealer is going to crease apart throughout the day, but we can really help to limit how much it creases by using a really nice setting powder. So now that my concealer is all set into place, now I can really choose where else I want to set on my face. I personally like to set my smile lines so they don't crease when I smile throughout the day. I like to set my nose just to make sure that my nose doesn't slip apart and slip off throughout the day, and a little bit on my chin because I find myself going like this and touching my chin throughout the day. Oh, and we cannot forget those forehead lines because we don't want those babies to crease throughout the day. And the way that I set the rest of my face is the exact same way. I only go in with a little bit of powder on my brush and I press it into the skin. And when you use a very nice thin lightweight powder just like this one from Huda Beauty, your skin is going to look incredible and so blurred. I mean, this powder has just made me love to set my face with some setting powder, which is insane because if you asked me a few years ago, I would have been like, nope, I hate setting powder. But this one right here has been a game changer. And even if you want to use a powder puff along with your setting powder, you can easily do that with the exact same method of dipping it in and then pressing it into your skin and just press, press, press until you can't see it any longer. And I'm almost already completely out of this Huda Beauty setting powder and I'm so sad because now I need to repurchase a new one. Rip to my bank account after I buy a new one. Today's glam is giving super cool tone vibes and I'm so here for it because I love a good cool tone neutral moment every once in a while. And now finally, here we are for the last makeup do's and don'ts. So makeup don't number 5 is don't use a random setting spray off the shelf, but do choose a setting spray that's right for the look that you're going for. There are so many different types of setting sprays out there. It's really hard to know which one you should choose for you. Now personally, I love me a good glowy finish setting spray. You know, one that's just gonna melt all the powders into my skin and just leave my foundation with a beautiful hydrated glow. And my two current favorite glowy setting sprays is definitely these two right here. We've got the E.L.F Coconut Dewy Setting Mist, or we've got the MAC Fix Plus Magic Radiance Setting Spray. These two babies really know how to get my makeup to be glowing throughout the day, and I will drench myself with these every single time I do my makeup. It is a must. I'm telling you, these setting sprays might not actually help keep your makeup on very long, but I'm telling you, these are going to make your makeup look flawless throughout the day. It's actually insane. And if you have more oily skin, I highly recommend these two right here. We've got the Urban Decay All Nighter Spray. This will not give you a glowy finish. It's more of a natural finish, so it won't make your oils look more enhanced. It will keep everything at bay, and it's completely gorgeous. And this one actually does help your makeup last a little bit longer throughout the day, so we love to see that from the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. She is a makeup classic, and we love her. And last but not least, I got the On Till Dawn One Size Setting Spray. Now this baby right here, if you're super oily or just want your makeup to actually last throughout the day and stay on like literal glue throughout the day, this is the setting spray for you. Not only is it going to help melt all the powders into your skin, but this acts like a hairspray for your makeup. You know, it kind of looks like a mini hairspray, but this one right here will actually create a film and a layer over your makeup so it won't budge throughout the day. So this does a great job of keeping your makeup on throughout the day and controlling your oils. So which setting spray and which finish and what look you want is completely up to you. You should totally choose one based on your skin type and the look you're going for. Now you know me, I'm a dry skin queen, so I'm definitely going to be using either the E.L.F Dewy Coconut Setting Mist or the MAC Fix Plus. And you know, today I'm really feeling this MAC Fix Plus. So I'm gonna go in and I'm going to drench my skin with this. When you apply your setting spray, it's very important to go in with a lot. And I'm saying a lot, like your skin should basically be dripping off when you use it. And I know that feels a little bit weird because what do you mean I wanna drench my skin after I just set it all into place? But the more you apply, the better results you're gonna get. So I'm just gonna cover my eyes a little bit so I don't mess up my eyeliner or my mascara. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to spray and drench my face very, very much to the point where my foundation looks like it's about to drip off. Oh yes, you can never have too much setting spray in my opinion. And now I'm just gonna let it completely air dry. And once this starts to dry down, you will really see that my skin will be glowing. And any powder look that we had on our skin will be completely gone instantly. And I'm telling you, don't forget the setting spray and make sure to choose one that's perfect for the look and the skin type that you have. But do choose one that's right for your skin type and the look that you're going for. I mean, you just see how beautiful and glowy this made my skin look. I'm obsessed. And I will forever and always drench my face with a good setting spray before I walk out that door. I don't care how late I am, I will always do that step. It's a mandatory requirement in my base routine, and I'm so here for it. And that's it. Those are my top 5 makeup do's and don'ts. I mean, I'm telling you, these are all my secret hacks to make my makeup look flawless and stay on throughout the day. I can really notice the difference when I do these steps in my routine, and I will never skip them. They are so important to me, and I know if you ever get to incorporate incorporate them into your routine, you're gonna love them as much as I do. And I know these steps can seem super extra, but with more practice and doing it every day, it's gonna become so easy and you're just gonna do it and you're gonna fly through it and you won't even notice. And trust me, when I first started doing my makeup, I was not good at all. I had no idea what to do. So figuring out these steps right here were really a trial and error process for me. But I'm so happy. I finally feel like I figured it out, and I'm here to share all my best makeup tips with you, because where else are we supposed to learn how to do our makeup, right? So don't worry, I got you. So I hope you learned a little something to incorporate into your own makeup routine, and I hope you love these tips as much as I do, because truly they're my favorite ones ever. And before you go, make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know what is your favorite step in your makeup routine, because I would absolutely love to hear from you. And of course, as always, I've linked all the products that I mentioned in today's video down in the description box for you, just in case you want to go ahead and check any of them out. I'll be back next week with a brand new video, so make sure to go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss when I upload my next video, and then that way we can really become besties. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me today. I had so much fun sharing with you my top 5 makeup do's and don'ts, and I'm just so grateful to have a makeup bestie like you. Your support just means everything to me, so seriously, thank you so much. You are a real one. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and P.S. don't forget to subscribe so that we can truly become besties. I love that for us. Bye! I'll see you next week.